What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the masculine and feminine archetypes of astrology. So we're going to be breaking down the four elements and dividing them into masculine and feminine, and how they both balance each other out, how duality balances each other out. So first of all, we're going to start off with the fire signs. Let's break it down first. So we got yin and yang, right? The yang will be like the feminine realm and the yin will be the masculine realm, right? So fire and water will be the feminine, while air and earth will be the masculine. So we're gonna start with fire, and then we're gonna go water, and then air, and then earth, which is like the four layers of the atmosphere. So fire, we got cardinal Aries, right? Aries is cardinal fire. Like I've said in my previous video, it's passion, initiates drive, initiates energy. It's a go-getter, it's a forward thinking type of energy. It's also very impulsive because it's the cardinal fire. And if fire has to do with action and energy, it's the first. So it has the potential and the energy of becoming the first vision or the first initiation into something. That's the Aries energy. It's like an initiation energy. Then we got Leo, which is fixed earth. And then, fixed fire, which is Leo, right? Which is the fixed flame, which is uh, action, fixated on your own action, fixated on your own imagination, fixated on your own creativity, right? Because fire sign also has to do with creativity, right? Fire is vision, which is creativity. It's creation. It's like cartoons. So you go cardinal fire, which is Aries. Then you go cardinal. Then you got fixed fire, which is Leo, right? And fixed fire has to do with being able to be self-centered, being center stage in your own reality, being center stage in your own creation and actions and expression and creativity. That's pretty much Leo's energy. It likes to look within, it likes to go within and fixate on its own individual self and its own individual creativity. Um, and then you got mutable fire, which is Sagittarius, right? It's like the dancing flame. So Aries will be like the spark, right? And then Leo will be the fixated flame, just the flame just burning. And then Sagittarius is like the dancing flame. So it's in and out. It's mutable. It can be cardinal and fixated whenever it wants to be. It can adjust to both energy. You know what I mean? It's like the grandparent. I always say, the mutable are like the grandparents of the zodiac signs. Um, so having Sagittarius energy, that is more of expansion, right? Expansive imagination, expansive creation. So it's very exaggerated the way Sagittarius, their expression is very exaggerated. They like to move their arms a lot, or they like to move their body a lot. It's very animated the way they express themselves. Um, Having Sagittarius energy, it's all about expansion. So it's all about accumulating different experiences, accumulating different materials to have a bigger picture and a bigger perception of what it's perceiving. That's why Sagittarius like to see the bigger picture of things, because they don't like to be just cardinal, aka just initiate and talk about something, and they don't like to be fixated on one specific subject. They like both. They like sparking something new and being fixated on that creativity or vision for a bit. Spark something new, fixate. Spark something new, fixate. That's how Sagittarius energy is. They utilize both Aries and Leo energy, and that's how they move. Um, Yeah, what else? So yeah, that's it. So we've got the cardinal, fixed, and mutable for fire. That's masculine. Also, then we got feminine, but in the yang realm, right? In the right brain world, right? Um, which is so yeah, we got masculine, fire, water, feminine. So cardinal water will be Capricorn. No, sorry, Capricorn. Cancer. Cardinal water will be Cancer. So having cardinal water, that's initiating a form of emotions and being able to initiate a vibe. You know what I mean? So if a Cancer knows how to be really good with its aligned with its frequency, they know how to control the vibe of a room because they're cardinal water. So they know how to control the vibe. Their expression, the way they express themselves, the way they perceive themselves, the way they bring themselves into an environment. If they are a very high frequency Cancer, they would know how to change the vibe of the room or control the vibe of the room. What else? They also have that nurturing energy. You know what I mean? Because they initiate water, and water has to do with consoling and healing. So they also have that motherly energy, because that's what mothers do. They console and heal their children, right? Based on just the caring energy. So the more you care about something, the more you're pouring energy into that um either object or space. You know what I'm saying? That's pouring of energy. And having cardinal water, you're always energized. You have a lot of energy because you're cardinal water. So you're always full of emotions. You know what I mean? You're always initiating emotions, whether for better or for worse. So that would be the cardinal water. Then you got fixated water, which would be Scorpio. Scorpio is more fixated on its emotions, and the more you fixate water, is ice, right? So that is the solid condensation of water, which is pretty much ice. And that's how Scorpios are. They're fixated. They're fixated on their emotions. They're fixated on whatever vibration they're in and whatever environment they're in until they transform that and be fixated on something else. But that's how they are. They're always fixated, even though they're known as transformative signs and transformative energies, but they're still on a fixated type of energy. So they transform to be fixated on something new. Um, yeah, and Scorpios know how to dive deep into their emotions. You know what I mean? Just like Leo's know how to dive deep into their creation and expression. Fixated signs know how to dive deep into what they're doing because they're fixated, so they know how to be stable and keep going. You know what I mean? So that's fixated. That's Scorpio. That's fixated water, right? And then you got mutable. Mutable would be Pisces. Pisces got the energy of healing, understanding. You know what I mean? They know how to communicate with their emotions because they're mutable water. So they know how to read other people's expressions and emotions and really know where they're coming from. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Sagittarius. Sagittarius can, just by seeing the way you express yourself, they already know what type of energy you're coming from. You know what I mean? So that's how it goes with mutables. They know how to relate to other people and put themselves into other people's shoes and see where they're coming from. Whereas cardinals don't have time to do that because they're too busy initiating something new. And fixated energy are too busy focusing on themselves. So they don't have time to do that and think about other people's emotions and things like that unless it benefits them for fixated signs. And then cardinals will be more like they're just busy creating. You know what I mean? They're busy working and stuff like that. It's kind of like in a relationship, like the guy's busy trying to make the money, trying to busy take care of the family, while the woman is more fixated on the home and the emotions and the kids and things like that. You know what I'm saying? They're more fixated on how they're feeling and their emotions right now. That's why you hear people say happy wife, happy life, because the women are more focused, they go more within, so they care more about how they feel at the moment, whereas the man is more cardinal, so they're just busy sparking new ideas and sparking new things into reality. Not saying women cannot do that, but it has nothing to do with male and female. It has something to do more with the masculine and feminine energy, regardless of what sex or biological vessel you're in. It's just whoever's taking on the masculine role will be busy initiating something, whereas whoever's taking on the feminine role will be more fixated on themselves. And and that will be a good thing because by you being fixated on yourself, you know how to take care of the things around you. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the mutable is like, I guess, like, yeah, it's more like it's kind of like the friend that is looking in from the outside, looking in, that knows what's going on. You know what I mean? Looking at the relationship and know what's going on. Like, okay, I see the Cardinals doing its job, providing and creating something, whereas the fixated is doing their job and they're fixated on themselves and how to provide, in that aspect. So they're more wiser. Like I said, the mutables are more wiser energy. They've been through the block. So yeah, that's mutable water. It's more like, Pisces energy, healing, water, empathy, having empath, being empath, emotional path. So being able to transform your emotions, I mean, carry your emotions and put into someone else's, and also being able to do the same and absorb their emotions and put into yourself. You know what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of Pisces need time to regain their energy. You know what I'm saying? Because they're mutable. They like to relate to other people's emotions and see where they're coming from. Um, but at the same time, they have to be careful not to do that too much. And that goes for Virgos too. Because just having mutable energy, that's just in general. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so we got the masculine fire, we got feminine water, right? We talked about the cardinals, Aries for fire, cardinal for water, Cancer. Fixated is fire is Leo, fixated water is Scorpio. You know what I'm saying? And then we got mutable Sagittarius, and then we got um mutable water Pisces. You know what I'm saying? And then we got within the yin realm, which is the masculine realm, right? Then we got air, which is masculine though. It's masculine, right? So fire and air is masculine, water and earth is feminine. Now we got fire, right? Now we got air. So cardinal air is Libra, right? And Libra has to do with balance, initiating some form of thought, initiating some form of connection, initiating some form of relativity. You know what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of Libras know how to communicate and have partnerships, because they know how to be cardinal with it. They know how to spark that. Like they'll be the type of person to go up to someone and ask them like, "Hey, what's up?" or "What are you doing?" and things like that, because they already have that energy of, and because it's Venus energy, it's relativity. They know how to relate. So even when they're speaking, even if it's cardinal energy and it's aggressive, it's still some form of, you can relate to it, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because it's still that Venus energy. It's not my up, so it's still balanced. You know what I mean? What else? So yeah, having cardinal air, you know how to relate, you know how to speak, you know how to initiate thoughts and connect others with that type of thought. Um, and then you got fixated air, which will be Aquarius. Aquarius is more like, even though they're humanitarian and they got the people energy, they still like to be amongst themselves. They still like to find their individual self and their individual thought amongst the masses. That's just how Aquarius are. They still like to be themselves even when they're amongst other people, because they're fixated air. So they're fixated on their way of thinking. Even though they have Uranus energy, which can transform, it's still some form of transformation with Uranus energy. It can destroy one old and outdated thought when it comes to Aquarius, and they can give birth to something new. So that's how it goes. Um, what else? Then yeah, having Aquarius fixated air, that is feminine, right? Because Cardinal's masculine, fixated is feminine. And then mutable is like androgynous. It has both energies. Um, what else? Yeah, so then we got fixated air, which is Aquarius energy. Um, being able to look within yourself and still be an individual in terms of the way that you perceive people around you and yourself. Like Aquarius know how to bounce energy and like look at their environment and look at the people around them, be like, okay, does these people match the way I'm thinking right now? And if they don't, they will ghost those people and be amongst other people that match their thought. They have to, the people around them have to match how they think, or else they don't feel comfortable being amongst those type of people. You know what I'm saying? Because they cannot be their individual self, so they'll feel like they have to rebel against that. Um, then we got Aquarius air. Then we got mutable air, which is Gemini, right? And Gemini's, they're very good at communicating. You know, what I mean, a lot of artists, writers, rappers, poets are Geminis because they know how to be mutable air. Just like a lot of spiritual people that can heal people are Pisces, because the mutable. That's why it's very good to have mutable energy also, because then you know how to relate to others. You know what I mean? So if you have a little mix of everything, it's perfect. You know what I'm saying? Because if you have all cardinals, then obviously you're a good initiator. You know how to provide and initiate new ideas, but you won't have anyone to like back you up, if that makes sense. Like you won't have anyone to like console that. So you need some fixated energy amongst your people or amongst yourself, so that when you're sparking these things, you have time to fixate on those things, you know what I mean, and actually dwell on them. And if you have a lot of fixated energy, you might be always within yourself. You might always be thinking within yourself and always be in your mind and in your emotions, that you don't have time to look around you and see, okay, things are changing and things are evolving. So I should evolve with it. You know what I mean? If you have fixed too much fixated energy. And then if you have a lot of mutable energy, it can be a blessing and a curse, because you can be very easygoing and you might know how to relate with other people, understand where people are coming from. But if you have too much mutable energy, then you won't have enough drive and enough passion to create your own things. You might be easygoing amongst other people, but you won't have time to be your own individual self and have your own creations that you can show people, like, okay, I did this. You know what I mean? Because you're too in the crowd. You're not standing out enough. So you need a little bit of mix of everything. Um, but yeah, like I said, yeah, we got mutable air, which was Gemini. Mutable air is being able to relate to other people's thoughts and knowing how to say certain things that you know will spark and arouse other people, because you just know how they think. You know where they're coming from, different mental angles. Having mutable air, so that's masculine. Within the yin realm, within the left brain realm, right? We already talked about the right brain, and then last but not least, we got Earth, which is the feminine amongst the masculine world, which is Earth. So we go cardinal Earth, which is Capricorn. Capricorn being able to initiate different business plans, different ways of building new things. You know what I mean? This could be relationships. This could be, like I said, business. This could be um, uh, companies, even creations, different type of foundations and stability. You know what I mean? Capricorns are good at coming up with different stabilities, um like digital currency, or even regular currency that we have now, or any form of tangible things that we can bring into this world to create comfortability, and you can feel stable amongst it. That's Capricorn energy. You know what I mean? So they know how to come up with different business plans for people to feel stable and to feel um confident, and they know that there's real structure in this. When you're with a Capricorn, you know that, okay, there's some real structure, and they actually take this serious, because this is all they think about is the business and what they need to stand on. You know what I mean? And how to be very concrete on it and be very solid. Yeah, so they're all about foundations and things that makes sense. It has to make sense, because if it doesn't make sense, you cannot rely on it. It's not stable. So Cardinals need things Capricorns need things that make sense, and they know that they can rely on it. Then we got then we got fixated Earth, which is Taurus. So Taurus are the type that they take their time, but once they find what they want, that's what they build on, and they usually never switch up. You know what I mean? When it comes to foundations and stability and things that they know that they can ground themselves on, they like to be fixated on that. They like to not they're not they're very, I wouldn't say rigid or stubborn, but once they feel like there's something that they can plant their 2 feet, mentally or metaphorically speaking, that is what they're gonna go in, because they believe in their sense, like, okay, this is gonna bring me stability, this is gonna give me foundation, so I'm gonna believe in it and just go all the way with it. You know what I mean? Um until something forces them to have to destroy that, aka use some cardinal energy and build something else. You know what I mean? But Tauruses usually like to be fixated on what makes them feel comfortable. If it makes them feel comfortable and they feel comfortable in that, materialistically, they'll stay there to the end. And that goes mentally and physically. Whatever makes them feel stable mentally, that's what they'll rely on. And also that goes into the physical dimension also. And then last but not least, we got mutable Earth, which is Virgo. So Virgo is like all about actions, services, things that you can create, or things that businesses that you can manage, that you know can help other people too. That's the thing with mutables. They know how to, like I said, water signs know how to create a form of emotions that they know that can help you, and you can relate to. Um, Gemini's know how to say certain things that they know that you can relate to, and then Virgos know how to create certain things, certain business plans, and certain structures and foundations and companies that they know that you can relate to. So they're the top to create hospitals. They're the top to create um Ubers, like servicing businesses. Like Uber is a perfect example of Virgo energy. You know what I mean? It's providing servicing to the public that is physical and tangible. What else? Like even like Pay ID, no, no, not Pay ID, PayPal and pay for later and things like that. Those type of services where you can pay for it later. People knew of that. People see that's Virgo energy where they know that okay, what business can I create that I know that people would depend on, and they need that. You know what I mean? They need that. It's something that you cannot live without. So hospitals, you cannot live without that. Um, Medications, you cannot live without that, right? Like if you're sick, obviously. Um, um, what else? Even transport services, you cannot live without that. So they know how to create things that you need and you rely on, and they can go into your psyche and be like, okay, I know this person needs this, so I'm going to create that service because that helps them also, and it also helps me at the same time. So the things that help other people helps us a Virgo because they know that okay, it helps me feel good knowing that this person also feels good in the service that I'm creating. That's just how mutables work. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much the four elements. We got the masculine, which will be fire and air, right? And then we got feminine, which will be water and earth. And then within those two atmosphere, we got the right brain or the yang realm, which is the subconscious realm, which will be fire and water, right? You know what I mean? And then within the yin realm, the logical, the masculine, the earthly plane, we got air and earth. And so that's pretty much how it goes. And they all balance each other out. Like fire, cardinal, air, Aries, we go with um I guess cardinal like an Aries will be with Libra, right? That's how it goes. Like masculine with masculine energy. But no, you want to do opposites because opposites attract. So yeah, you want to go maybe even like cardinal air. Sorry, cardinal what's it called? Like an Aries will go well with a Taurus. And the reason why I say that is because an Aries has cardinal air. So they initiate new business ideas, new creativity. So they need a Taurus, which is fixated and can be like their secretary. You know what I mean? This will be their secretary because the secretary will be like the feminine energy. So the Aries will be the masculine, the man. The female will be the Taurus because she can keep his files and creativity in order. You know what I mean? That's that Taurus energy, fixated Earth. She can keep it in order and be fixated on that and keep a profile of his creativity and keep it into a way where he can come back into it and rely on that. It's not just in the wind like fire. You know what I mean? Yeah, you create it, but you don't have anyone to console that creativity so that you can come back to it and show the masses like okay, this is what I did. You know what I mean? So that's how that's what an Aries would need with a Taurus, like in terms of relationship. And then you got like so Leo would do well with what's it called? No, sorry, that's a Taurus. I meant Capricorn. Yeah, but I meant Capricorn. Sorry, because Capricorn are more business minded. Aries are more go getters. So the Capricorn can come up with a way to make a business out of that Aries creativity. That's what's good with the Capricorn. They know how to create a business out of the Aries creativity. And then Leo will be good with a Taurus because the reason why I'm saying fire will go well with earth instead of water is because water I feel like will quench the fire energy. So fire needs an earth energy to balance and keep that fire grounded. Whereas an air, we need a water to make that air more emotionally intelligent. You know what I'm saying? So Aries will go well with Capricorn, business minded, creativity. Leo will go well with a Taurus because the Leo will be like the creative person, right? Doing all the things while the Taurus will be stacking the bread, stacking the money, keeping the money, safe. You know what I'm saying? Because Taurus know how to do that. They're that energy. They got that energy. Um, so they will know how to stack the money, and they also know how to give. that Venus energy to the Leo to make that Leo feel appreciated. You know what I mean? And what it's doing. And then you got last but not least, we got mutable Sagittarius. The Sagittarius will go well with, I wouldn't say Sagittarius will go well with a Virgo. Because Sagittarius are very Virgos, even though they're mutable Earth, but I feel like Virgos are very nitpicky sometimes, and Sagittarius does not like that. They like the bigger picture. So only Sagittarius that I will say would, except if that Sagittarius is a grounded Sagittarius and it's business minded and it wants to make money. If that Sagittarius wants to make money, then it's gonna go well with a Virgo because that Virgo will make that Sagittarius still be more organized. You know what I mean? The Sagittarius won't just be so scattered minded and just all over the place. If the Sagittarius wants to make money, if the Sagittarius doesn't want to make money and just wants to be like a spiritual hippie or something like that, then the Sagittarius should be with the Pisces. You know what I mean? Because they'll just keep them in that spiritual energy. But if you want to make money, then you gotta be with a Virgo. Yeah. So yeah. So you pretty much get the point. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but that's pretty much it. You get the point. Okay, we'll quickly do it. We do air now. So we go cardinal air, which will be Libra. A Libra will do well with um cardinal water. Libra will do well with Cancer, 100%.